Hi, my name's Melanie. I'm going to be doing a speech on how Britain needs a single market in order to thrive. My other speech was the opposing view, so that was what I just did before. I'm using the same ideas and same figures, so some proper nouns that you might want to note down are Rabobank, they are a Dutch bank, and Gregor Irwin, which is a name for you. My speech starts here. Dear colleagues, thank you for having me here today. Being part of the single market means that Britain has unfettered access to over 500 million consumers across all the member states within it. In return, the UK can purchase goods and services from across the continent. And this is all down to eliminating tariffs and reducing costs and admin burdens by one set of rules. Therefore, being part and having access to the single market is extremely beneficial. And that's why today I want to talk to you about why we need access to the single market and how this will be beneficial for Britain and for the British people. We need this access in order to thrive economically. I want to stress this importance. Firstly, a large amount of the UK's exports go to countries within the EU. Office of National Statistics say that 44% of our exports go to countries within the EU. And this represents £210 billion over £510 billion. Furthermore, if we left the customs union, we would have to trade under World Trade Organization regulations and tariffs, and that would mean that trade would slow. As The Independent has shown us, the costs and extra tariffs alone for UK businesses would be £4.5 billion a year if we were to trade under those regulations and tariffs. And that's not even considering other regulations and market standards that we would have to adhere to. A hard Brexit no-deal scenario would mean that our exports would decrease by 30%. Change Britain say that we export more to outside of the EU than within it. They do not base this on concrete figures. Furthermore, they say that trade deals can be set up with the US and Canada, but do not specify that these deals can take years to be agreed upon. If we take the EU-Canada trade deal, for example, that took 7 years. Secondly, I would like to talk about jobs. Change Britain claim that by leaving the single market, we will be able to create numerous jobs by setting up these free trade agreements with countries such as the US or Canada. But in fact, they would just be replacing jobs that would be lost from leaving the single market. For example, Change Britain calculate the benefits of setting up a trade deal with Korea if we were to leave the single market. However, the EU already have a free trade agreement with Korea, so it wouldn't be creating new jobs but just replacing the old ones. And that's if a trade deal were to be agreed. If not, then not having access to the single market would mean losing those jobs and suffering when we already have a very fragile economy. Gregor Irwin has confirmed our doubts on Change Britain's statistics. He is an economic professor at LSE, and he claims that their figures are seriously flawed and over-optimistic. Lastly are the effects on our financial services, an important pillar of our economy. If we were to leave the EU with no deal in place, then there would be irreparable damage to our financial services. The Telegraph have published a study which shows that each city worker contributes £140,000 to our economy, and 3 times the amount of productivity than a normal British job. So if this sector lost investment, our economy would suffer a hefty blow. Rabobank, the Dutch bank, say that if we were to leave the EU without a free trade agreement in place with access to the single market, it would cost our GDP growth 18%. To conclude, therefore, I think it is clear that we need a free trade agreement with access to the single market in order to thrive economically. No deal would be unacceptable and undesirable. If the UK were to not have access to the single market, and in a hard Brexit scenario, it would cost us £400 billion by the time we reach 2030. And we want the best option for Britain and the best option for the British people. So that means having access to the single market and remaining a part of the customs union. Thank you.